Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO in the flow. And today I get to interview Heather Graff. And she is a sweet soul sister I've known for multiple years. And we are both in the San Diego yoga community. Heather started her yoga practice in 1998, seeking relief from postpartum depression. Injury in 2007 brought Heather back to her yoga mat for private instruction to rehabilitate her body. This reignited her passion for yoga, and she completed her 200-hour teacher training in 2011. She has a strong background in dance and performing arts. Heather brings her unique eclectic teaching style to her yoga classes. Heather completed Yoga for Trauma training with Hala Kari, and Heather is a 2014 graduate of the Prison Yoga Project training with James Fox. Heather served on the board of directors for the Sean O'Shea Foundation from 2014 to 2018. In 2018, Heather started a monthly yoga practice at Yokoji Zen Mountain Center, with all proceeds benefiting the center. In 2019, Heather started raising money for the San Diego Humane Society through fundraisers benefiting the Walk for Animals. In addition to teaching trauma-informed Hatha yoga, Heather is a dive master, music lover, and a motion picture trained makeup artist. I didn't know that. That's awesome. All right, without further ado, let's bring on Heather. How are you?
Good. How are you, Dave? Good to see you.
Great. Yes. Wow. I love reading your bio because it brings about some fresh little morsels of new information. And it also took me back in time because I was a part of the Walk for Animals in San Diego. I've been vegan for 15 years, and so it's been pretty interesting to be a part of those opportunities to hear our voices for human and non-human animals on this planet. So that's awesome. We have that commonality, and as you can hear, some of the chickens in the background and all of the wonderful beings and souls, right? May all beings be happy and free. They definitely sound happy. So yeah, and a lot of people out there just want to make sure if you have questions, this is live streaming, so you get the opportunity to comment, ask a question, you can share. This is live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're live streaming in the San Diego Yoga Teachers Facebook group. So if anyone wants to join that group, go ahead and join, and you can ask us any questions. The content will be about yoga. It will also be about beyond the physical practice, the emotional wellness that can come through the yoga practice, and that inner work that we all get to have, right? We're multisensory beings. A lot of us know that. And first of all, before we kick into the 5Q interview, I want to give Heather a huge acknowledgement, because when I was creating my music before I launched my first album, Nameless Energy, I was, so deep into the process of learning, like, oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to create all this music? And, kind of like in my artistic brain, Heather called and said, hey, do you want to do a launch party at the studio? And I was like, yes, it's an awesome idea, because I was so like in the right brain creative. I wasn't thinking like, okay, how am I going to launch the album? How am I going to, execute the distribution and share this with everyone globally? And so what was amazing, it was over 5-6 years ago. From that point on, we got to plan for the party together, got to work out all the details around that. And I want to show everyone a clip, because this is the first time that the album was ever heard by anyone, because of course, just like tinkering in the laboratory of art and music, a lot of us that know this, you kind of get in your own zone in your own world. So here is a clip of Heather and I teaching our first class together, and me performing my album, Nameless Energy. So you may not be able to hear it, but you can see it. So, can you hear that, Heather?
Can't hear it, but I can see it.
Okay, you can see it. Great. Great. So I'll go through a little bit. Oh, here's the night. I'll just show clips. So we had a packed house that day.
That was a fun day.
Totally. Yeah, I don't know if did you know I had a camera in the back just
No,
documenting it?
no, I
Okay, yeah.
didn't.
The fun about technology, right?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. So that I don't think anyone's ever seen that either. It just happened to be in like my, the cloud, floating around in the clouds.
So I want to
So
take a moment and acknowledge you. The reason I wanted to host your party to begin with, not only is your music amazing and you're such a great person, but you had helped out with nonprofit work. That's where we really started, if you recall. We'd already worked with the Sean O'Shea
yes.
Foundation at that point. And as a thank you to you for providing the music for the Sean O'Shea Foundation, I really wanted to help support your musical endeavor and offer you a platform to release your album. And that's exactly how that came to be, as I recall. So
Uh,
thank you.
you're
Really.
welcome and thank you.
Yeah.
I love that synergy because yeah, it's amazing when we can pay it forward and be a stand for what matters in the world and for kids to get access to yoga and for the life and legacy of Sean O'Shea to live on and for Gloria and everyone that's a part of that. And I know you've poured tons of your energy into the success and the expansion of the Sean O'Shea Foundation. And as you probably know, we did our launch party for Buddha Music Group, and part of the
Yes.
proceeds at the Belly Up went to the Sean O'Shea Foundation. And you were the one who introduced me to the Sean O'Shea Foundation. So the ripples and the all of it
Hey,
just keeps on
we
going.
just keep coming back and forth.
Exactly, and
Ebb and flow.
that's what we say at Buddha Music Group, right? Raising the vibrations of the planet through art and music, and so you just get to keep on going and flowing. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right into the 5Q interview, and maybe some people have heard about this, maybe not everyone, but I think it'd be really great for everyone to understand what is your journey with yoga? How
What
did it
is
all
my
begin?
journey? I was drawn initially. Hold on, my dog is going after my chickens. Tasia, no. My dog's name is Tasia Say. That's Sanskrit for light. Down you go. She was so good up until this point. I was drawn to yoga when I had my daughter 24 years ago and I experienced postpartum depression. And back then, they didn't know that it was a hormonal issue, and the psych meds were of no help to my situation whatsoever. So, inside of a doctor's office, waiting to see another professional, I picked up a yoga magazine and I read that yoga can be very helpful in calming the mind and calming the nervous system and helpful in assisting with depression. And I went down to the local yoga place on Cedros next to the Belly Up. There you go, full circle. And I signed up for a yoga class. And I was so stressed out, I couldn't move and breathe without feeling like I was going to have a panic attack. And I actually sought out privates before I entered a group situation. It was that challenging for me just to slow everything down and move and breathe with intention. And I fell in love with the practice and decided to teach probably around 2008. So way down the road of practicing. And I thought that I would like to, at that point, I'd already taught scuba diving and I had taught people makeup from, you mentioned that in the bio. So
Yes.
I enjoy teaching and I moved it into yoga. And I've been doing that now for 9 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So once you learn the practice as a student, question two is what inspired you to teach? Did you have an aha moment? Was it gradual? Did someone encourage you to teach?
I had surgery in 2007, and to rehabilitate from surgery, I sought out my original yoga teacher for once again privates. And at that point, I think I decided that because I could see the physical benefit and the mental emotional benefit, I wanted to offer that to others. I think that was the final key. Being a dancer most of my life, I didn't really look for the physical aspect of yoga. That's not what attracted me. And it wasn't until I used the physical aspect of yoga in my own body, in my own healing, that I really saw how this could benefit so many people on so many levels, both mentally and emotionally and physically. And that's when I really wanted to offer it to anybody who wanted to do it.
Hmm. I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, you have such a beautiful practice. And one of the things that you and I generated as a wonderful idea is before we did the launch party, I came in and took a class. We discussed and saw the studio, and yeah. And I think there's been co-taught classes that you've done as well. um, yeah, there's so many opportunities I feel for instructors to really feel into, how music is a part of it, how you can teach people, how you can gain knowledge through the practice. And I feel like there's been this big inspiration from people to be like, oh, I'm on Instagram and I see someone rocking this awesome yoga pose. And we focus so much on the physicality, which, there's a component to that because I have amazing friends that have like either lost weight or started eating cleaner because of yoga. But I really feel like one of the things that we forget about yoga is that it's the whole mind and the heart connection, right? And it's that if you're aching in your heart, or if you're feeling depression, or if you're feeling sad, how there's benefits that go beyond just the physical practice. And I know you integrate that into your classes, the whole holistic experience. So that's question 3 for you, is like, what makes your classes unique? Like, what do you integrate for each person so they receive something that's powerful for them?
The first thing we do always, every class, doesn't matter if we sit down 3 times a week together and begin a class, every time we check in. And we check in with our physical self and our mental self. And you don't have to overshare, and I don't pry, but I ask if there are any physical things going on in the body, anything mental going on in the body. With everything happening with the quarantine and in society right now, and all the tension and all the upheaval, a lot of the students in the last couple of weeks have come to class needing to relax, needing to chill, not really needing restorative, relaxing yoga, but needing to stimulate that part of their nervous system so that they can unwind and get some relief from the world right now. So, as a trauma sensitive yoga teacher, I use that as a tool, the checking in. In some of my more familiar classes of students, I'll ask them to rate their energy 1 to 10. That gives me a baseline of what to work with, how hard to push, how far to take it on the high and the low. The other thing I do is I gave up using notes probably 8 years ago. I make it up as I go along. So let's just say you come to class, you're a regular practitioner, and you say, hey, Heather, my lower back is bothering me because I helped a friend redo a music studio. And maybe I was going to do back bends. That was in my mind's eye that day. But now that you've shared with me that perhaps that's not the best idea, because I'm not stuck to a format, I switch it out to something else. Nobody else in the class needs to know that we're doing that, but I can customize the class to all of the participants. So for instance, today I was with my ladies in cancer recovery, like I am every Monday. And we have a woman who took a tumble a couple of weeks ago. So we're dealing with some arm issues and some knee issues from the fall. We had somebody else with lower back issues. So those were the parameters of what I had to work with in an hour. I created the class custom to everybody in the room, leaving out, in this case, sun salutations and anything on the hands and knees, including pigeon. So that's it. That's the advantage to having the trauma-informed training. You learn how to construct it for what's in front of you and give up the idea of any control in the room, because there's none. I mean,
I
we
love
don't
that.
feel the same every time. I don't feel the same every time I teach, and I'm in supposedly good physical shape, but depending on what I've done to myself, that might appear differently class to class. So it's honoring where you're at and meeting you there. And that's what I offer in my classes that's truly unique, is I meet you where you're at and I customize it for you each time.
I love that. And I love the fact that not having notes or anything of that sort allows you to be like radically present.
Well,
It's really
sometimes,
powerful.
Dave, I have bad experiences and they really stick. So this one time early in my teaching, there I was across the room with my hands on a student because I was really into adjusting when I was, fresh out of school. And I have my hands on the student, and my notes are about 12 feet across the room. And for the life of me, because I had spent so much time on that piece of paper, I couldn't remember what was next. And it was something like a twisted triangle situation where you really want to move them quickly. And you're contorting and it's a struggle. And there's Heather's notebook across the room, no use at all. And I'm like, I really need to stop depending on my notes right about
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So never again.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was it.
No, I love that. And that's the thing. Like, there's training wheels, which are perfect when you're a child learning how to ride a bike. And then
Hmm.
you go from kindergarten, then you go to first grade, second grade, and then you get to be in this place of just being present and being in the flow. And that's wonderful. And that truly probably allowed you to also make those adjustments and intuitive choices throughout the practice. Because if you are rigid and this is the tunnel, this is the path, no matter what, then life is always happening in every moment. So you get to
Ever changing. And I think it's best just to change with it. Yeah.
absolutely. I love that. So one commonality we have, and I read this in the bio, is that you love music.
Very much so.
Yes, and I'm a music lover, of course. I know, and especially if you're a trained makeup artist, were you ever doing makeup for any kind of productions or anything that required music or theater?
No, I did not. But more interesting than that would be the fact that I was a partner in a record label in my first
Oh,
business. So
that's amazing.
I have worked with some major bands in the past, and so I integrate basically rock music into all of my classes. It's interesting
Awesome.
you ask about music. You can count on me to deliver you a fine set of Queen. Another favorite would be the
Absolutely.
War on Drugs. I don't know if you know them, but I strongly suggest you get to know them if you haven't already. The Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead is an amazing band for a yoga
Mm,
practice. The one
totally.
that didn't work was a request. I used to take requests. Again, the one time that doesn't work and then I stop. I took requests all the way up until the point that I played the Rolling Stones. And I forgot that they don't keep a 4-beat count. So there's no half beat, there's no full beat. It's all over the map. And it was horrible. It was a horrible hour. But other than that, it has gone quite well. And, I think my name kind of gives you a clue, my working name, a yoga punk, that it just might not
Yes.
be, you know, chimes and bells and things. No,
Awesome. I love
no.
that. And that's what I love about music too. And I've had so many different influences and genres of music, and I could go through my whole history of like playing in jazz bands, marching bands, concert band, orchestra, rock bands. And so and how many amazing genres of music have we learned? And honestly, my go-to band for all time is Van Halen. Like, that's the
Nice.
band that, like, the electric guitar, the drummer, Eddie and Alex Van Halen. And I've been to all iterations. I've seen him with David Lee Roth. I've seen him with Sammy Hagar. So like Van Halen's been my go-to band. And actually, there's a couple songs. There's a song called "Cosmic Grounding" where I have this synthesizer that's like pulsating, like an arpeggio, and that actually was inspired by the song "Why Can't This Be Love" by Van Halen that I integrated into my yoga music. So there's some rock and roll coming into my music. And my most recent song that I talked about called "Bliss," Ananda Maya Ko, from my recent album Radiant Energy, there's a song. That song actually has like 3 genres of music in it. I'll put the album cover up. It has reggae, hip hop, and rock. So it's a merger of all 3 genres. So I love that you're a yoga punk. I love that you enjoy all styles of music. And by the way, one last thing I'll say on music is when I was at Lollapalooza, I got to see the full living version of the Ramones,
Nice.
like the quintessential or punk band. It was amazing.
Nice.
So that's all. I love that. Yeah, music for me, and I know certain practitioners don't use music in their yoga flows, and certain times they do, and certain styles of yoga doesn't integrate music unless, like, for example, Ashtanga doesn't during the class, but they'll do like full moon kirtan, and so there's music as the lifestyle and the culture of yogis, and sometimes it's just not needing to be in the class itself. So that's wonderful.
Well,
Awesome. Let's.
teaching in a gym, it's very hard to have the relaxing music when you have the gym music just outside the door, like the loud high beat, high intensity. And that's where really using the rock music has come in over the years. And now I'm
Mm,
I'm pretty known for that. In my restorative classes, obviously, we switch it out to something like Deva Premal or
of
Krishna
course.
Das. We slow it down. But in the mixed level hatha classes, yeah, you can count on rock music.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Wonderful. Okay, so question 5 is when is your next event?
My next event, I should have had my calendar out. I'm sorry. I live by my calendar. My next event is actually going to be in July, on July 18th at noon at a winery in Miramar called Charlie and Echo. And the proceeds will be benefiting the San Diego Humane Society.
Love that. And so anyone that is interested in attending that event, what's the best way they can find
The
out?
best way is to go on my page, a yoga punk on Facebook. I'm very active on my Facebook and Instagram. They are both a yoga punk. Go on the yoga punk page and go to the events. As soon as Charlie and Echo are ready to post a ticket link, they will. They have to sell the tickets because the tickets include a glass of wine.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Got
my
it.
page right up on the screen.
Perfect. Okay, and so that's facebook.com/a yoga punk. I'll make sure that that gets on the screen for everyone to
And then
follow
I
you there.
also teach online in the Zoom room on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And if you're interested in joining us for a class, also message me at the Yoga Punk page on Facebook. And we can
Wonderful.
add you to the list and get you an invite.
Fantastic. And I see here that you offer yoga classes, Zoom private yoga,
Hmm.
and have a variety of options there for people to, discover like your gifts and your offering. And so, yeah, anyone out there that's watching right now, go to the link below. A Yoga Punk is the page on Facebook, and then that's also your website where people can go to if they'd like. I'll make sure I put that up as
Yogapunk.com.
well. Per- Awesome. I love your logo with the kind of the ACDC. So good. I love that.
Thank you.
And let me put a picture from your website up for everyone to witness. This is amazing.
Just pick up
Wonderful
your foot.
flexibility.
That's what I say in class when I teach that. Just pick up your foot. That's it. Just pick
Yeah,
it up.
no big deal. Just pick it up. Just
Just pick up
sitting
your
there.
foot. Yeah.
Nice. Wonderful, beautiful, inspirational. Yeah, I admire how you got on this path and just sort of really move forward, and even during COVID-19 to consistently offer classes online and to stay the course and move forward into how you can be of service and your generosity, and realizing as well that this is one of the most stressful, anxious times in most people's lives. Um, so to have this pathway of yoga for emotional expansion and the growth, as you said, like people just want to chill and reduce the stress of everything that's going on our planet right now. I really want to acknowledge you for being online, because a lot of people, I know people that have just went into a cocoon and they're just like, oh, peace out, I'm going inward, I'm out of here. And so I feel like we've all done that to some level, and there's nothing wrong with that. Different strokes for different folks. And I do know, like, for you to step into your leadership and really continually have that online presence, despite of, as we all know out there, the sometimes adaptability that happens with technology, and this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and to carry forward, know that there's a solution to everything. That's my
There
philosophy.
you go. There you go.
Well, do you have any closing words to share about anything else that's going on?
No, I felt called to continue to show up to teach. And students came forward very quickly in the stay at home and asked if I was going to do anything. And I what do they say? There's that old saying, the teacher appears when the student asks. And I just felt that there was a reason to do it. And the 80% of the practice showing up, I'll take it. I'll show up
Yeah,
and I'll keep
absolutely.
showing up.
Wonderful. And so here's the website. If you go to ayogapunk.com, and these are the offerings that Heather has for you. So I encourage anyone out there to go directly to ayogapunk.com. It's right now on your screen. And from there, you can find yoga classes that are Zoom classes for the community. And this is a global community. It doesn't matter where you're located on the planet. It's really powerful to be connected. And then there's the private session, and then the actual in-person events. And yeah, that's wonderful that you're working with these nonprofits. And as you said, it's full circle because that's how you and I connected through the
Absolutely.
possibility of like getting out of our own heads, out of our own stuff. Like we all
And
have
helping
our
others.
everything.
And helping
Totally.
others. And that's really how we met, was being of service to others. So it's been wonderful watching your musical journey over the years.
Yeah, you've been a part of it from the grassroots level.
You were just a not math, excuse me. You were just a Spanish teacher when I met you.
Ah, sí, claro. Yo estaba
Yeah.
solo en
Just a
las clases
Spanish
de español.
teacher. No
Yeah,
música.
and by the way, my second and third album each have a song in Spanish. I have a song called Electricidad, then I have a song called Energía.
I
And
love it.
so I like to integrate, different languages into my music, and I think you've seen plenty of times. I'll switch the screen real fast so people can see. Like I've had my 7 songs or 7 chakras. This album alone has 7 extraordinary singers from different countries, global artists. We had Spanish, Italian, um, Sanskrit, as well as English being spoken. So I love that international flavor to bring it in. So from a world language teacher to now like a world
Musician.
language musician that's adding all
Yes.
these flavors. And truly, as a teacher, I've utilized the platform, which I know you've seen, is like, let's create a container of like, okay, here's the album. That's like my first album, of course, you're very familiar with. That's the soundtrack for a yoga flow, 60 minutes, right? And grateful to say that that was endorsed by Deepak Chopra, which was that next step of like, okay, how do I level up? How do I expand? And then having 7 songs for 7 chakras was great because I remember even, I'm the guy that like passes my business card out to someone that's like checking me out at the grocery store or something. Like, oh, hey, check it out. I've had so many people like, oh, I think I've heard about the 7 chakras. I think I know about that. So then music has been a platform to like share and educate people. And then after that, like my most recent album, The 5 Koshas, even a lot of yoga instructors don't even know what the 5 koshas are. So it's the physical body, the energy body, the emotional body, the wisdom, and the bliss. And so when you can take these like templates for living your life, it really can empower people. And I'm grateful to be so ingrained in the yoga community. And again, for you, inviting me to have my first album launch party. So yeah, it's so good. Just the vibes keep on rolling. And another thing that I know I wanted to talk about is guided meditations and like mindfulness, and to have that ability. And you wanted to bring up about people that are, in that, let's say, the challenge of having, bipolar symptoms. So what would you like to speak into that on?
So 5 years ago, I was diagnosed bipolar 2. And I had realized at that point, pardon me, that my yoga practice and my meditation practice weren't enough to maintain the symptoms, to keep them at bay. So I sought out medical treatment and got on medication. And I used the yoga practice and the mindfulness and the medication all together as tools in my tool bag to manage my mental health issues and keep them level and keep myself level. And again, to be able to be of service. If I'm all jacked up and not level, then I'm not able to hold the space for anyone else. And when I say hold the space, which is I've seen a lot of arguments recently on that phrase. When I say hold the space, I mean not fill it with my own junk, not fill it with my own thoughts and my own situation. And one thing I pride myself in when I'm teaching is compartmentalizing and leaving anything going on over here. And when I enter this space with the students, then I'm fully present and I'm able to be there for them and deliver what they need at that time, not necessarily what I need and I feel like. And again, maybe it's through my own mental health struggles over the years that I've learned how to do that. Be that what it may. That's how I prefer to offer my classes and fill that time and space for my people. And when I say meditation, for me, I was exposed to, I know it sounds like a virus, I was exposed to Zen meditation in my yoga teacher training, Japanese Soto Zen. And it's not really guided. You basically just sit there and you, much like the ticker tape on the bottom of our screen here, you just let those thoughts keep going and you try not to grab a hold of anything as it goes by, because it's going to come, and as sure as it comes, it's going to go. And you just sit there and you let that pass. And it's been very helpful for me. Both the mindfulness meditation and the yoga have been extremely helpful for me in my life. And I wouldn't be who I am today without it. And I don't think there'll ever be a time in my life that I don't practice both. Yeah. And I'm very honest with my students about that. They are aware. I'm flattered when they tell me they can't tell that I have these issues. Like I tell them, if I can't hold it together an hour at a time, Dave, I don't know what to say. Just 1 hour, just 1 hour at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to honor, as you're saying, to create that clearing, that opportunity, and that space, that field, right? As Rumi talked about, right? I'll meet you in that field. And it's a beautiful place, and it's our divine birthright to have ease and flow and connection and love and
and relief from suffering, as the Buddhists would say, relief from suffering. And that's what I try to provide, a little bit of relief from the suffering of our lives. And I don't mean to say that in a negative way or a downtrodden way, but I mean, as sure as there's living, there's suffering. And we can alleviate that through actions we take and things we do. And yoga is one of those things, I think. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It's been awesome for us, I feel, as Westerners to live in this time and space where we get the medicine and the goodness from Eastern wisdom and philosophies and culture. So it's been beautiful to combine those two together. So thank you for being here, Heather.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Thank you so much.
Yes, and obviously we're interconnected in so many beautiful ways, and I know this is just the beginning. And keep on shining your light and offering your guidance to those individuals out there, whatever they're going through, to go to your website and find a class. The offerings that you're doing, as you said, you have an upcoming event that you can check out at yogapunk.com. So thanks again, Heather.
Thank you, Dave. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.